Tonight on CTV News, targeting a vulnerable senior.
This was a strong-arm robbery in which these people used violence and force to try to steal this woman's purse.
Thieves try to rob an elderly woman downtown in broad daylight. Police want help tracking down the suspects.
There were reports of ashes falling in Lytton last night.
A community on edge. An out-of-control wildfire near Lytton triggers evacuation alerts. A heat warning is ramping up the danger. And suspicious death at a long-term care home. Another resident is in hospital. Homicide investigators have now taken over the case.
This is far from a one-off. This is the model. This is the future for British Columbia.
The NDP celebrates a cleaner form of LNG and signals to the world BC is open for business.
This is CTV News with Mi Jung Lee.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A scary ordeal for an elderly woman in downtown Vancouver has police asking for the public's help. Two people tried to rob her in broad daylight, but a good Samaritan jumped in to help. CTV's St. John Alexander has the story.
Police believe someone knows who these people are and what they were up to late Sunday morning. A man and a woman, both with long brown or dark hair. Both are suspects, police say, in an attempt on an easy target. Just before noon Sunday, an 84-year-old woman was standing alone, her cane in hand, at the corner of Pender and Homer. The VPD says two people spotted her, approached, and then accused the senior of stealing from them.
One of the suspects took the cane. The other one tried to pry the purse off of her shoulder. This was a strong-arm robbery in which these people used violence and force to try to steal this woman's purse.
Her daughter had stepped away for a moment to get something from the car, saw something was happening, and ran over to help Mom.
We're concerned, due to the vulnerability of the victim, due to the age of the victim, due to the target nature of this offense, there's a public safety risk.
This is the same area, in fact, just a few steps away, where another senior was suddenly pushed to the ground in May. It was an unprovoked attack by a complete stranger.
It felt like I was body slammed or shoved backwards onto the pavement.
With the exception of the area and that they both involve seniors, the crimes are not related, but both are being taken seriously by police. As for the attempted purse snatching, her daughter and a good Samaritan managed to fend off the suspects. They got away with nothing.
This kind of crime is despicable. We, as a police agency, need to do everything that we can to find the people responsible, to hold them accountable, and to denounce this kind of behavior.
And police say Mom and daughter were sent to hospital as a precaution and are doing fine. Now their focus is finding out who these people are. St. John Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
Breaking news out of Burnaby, where Mounties are searching for a man suspected of sexually assaulting a woman in Central Park. Kevin Chirac is following this in the Breaking News Center. Kevin.
Mi Jung, police say it happened on Sunday night just before 9 near the park's entrance. The victim says she was walking alone when a man she didn't know ran up and inappropriately touched her buttocks and lower back area. She was able to escape and call 911 unharmed. The suspect had fled by the time police arrived. He's described as a white man between 20 and 30 years old with medium-length blondish brown curly hair. At the time, he was wearing dark clothing and a baseball hat. Anyone who may have been in the park around 9 Sunday night and witnessed the assault are being asked to contact Burnaby RCMP. Mi Jung.
Thanks for this update, Kevin. The homicide team has taken over the investigation into the suspicious death at an Abbotsford care home. One elderly resident died earlier this month and another is in hospital. CTV's Craig Krause has been following the developments. Craig, what are authorities saying?
Well, Mi Jung, nearly 3 weeks after police said a resident at Menno Home died after what was described as a medical emergency involving another resident. The Integrated Homicide Investigation Team is now in charge of the case, but is releasing few details. We've learned Fraser Health has also launched a licensing investigation with Menno Home's cooperation. So IHIT has yet to release the cause of death and says it is working to collect evidence, CCTV video, and is speaking with medical professionals to advance the investigation. Authorities still consider the circumstances as suspicious, but have not categorized the case as a homicide despite IHIT's involvement. Last week, police announced one resident who remains unnamed had died on July 10th following a medical emergency, and another resident is still in hospital. For the first time today, we heard from the CEO of Menno Place in a video message to families.
There are many questions being asked about this police investigation at this time. One that is particularly relevant to those who live or have loved ones living here. Are the residents living at Menno Place safe? Is my loved one safe? Am I safe living here? I want to assure you with confidence that the safety of every resident on our campus is our highest priority.
Anytime there's a critical incident in a care home, it's very concerning for everyone who lives there, for the staff, for the family members, and for the whole community. There are processes and standards, there's regulations, and there is a process to investigate when a serious incident like that happens.
Menno Home has yet to provide an interview, and the details around what the medical emergency was, well, that remains unclear as well. Mi-Jung?
Thank you, Craig. The man accused of hijacking a small plane in Victoria and flying into YVR made a brief court appearance today. The lawyer of Shahir Kassim says they are working on a plan to have him released on bail. The 39-year-old has been in custody at a pretrial facility in Surrey since his arrest earlier this month. He is facing one count of hijacking, which can be considered a terrorism offense under the criminal code, along with one count of interfering with a navigation system. Kassim's next court appearance is in 2 weeks. Provincial officials say they have deep concerns about an out-of-control wildfire burning near Lytton. It has triggered evacuation alerts, and ash fell on the village last night. As CTV's Michelle Bernoro reports, a heat warning is making things even more challenging.
At 4 in the morning, this is what Wayne James saw from the side of the road not far from where he lives.
It took right off, and it was a little scary looking.
The Cantilever Bar wildfire is about 150 hectares in size, burning 10 kilometers south of Lytton. The fire has triggered evacuation alerts for 5 properties in the Thompson-Nicola Regional District and on First Nations properties in the area.
When I look down towards the fire, all I see is smoke. And it's just that haze where you can't see through.
With Environment Canada warning temperatures could climb as high as 38 degrees in the area this week, crews are battling both heat and steep terrain.
It's challenging terrain. Fire wants to run uphill during the day. It wants to run downhill during the night.
There were reports of ashes falling in Lytton last night as an example. And so for those that have been working hard to rebuild their homes, those who are looking to continue to come home over the next number of years, certainly a lot of concerns that I can imagine.
The fire comes 4 years after most of Lytton burned in a devastating wildfire.
I want to acknowledge how distressing it must be for the people in the Lytton area with a fire that started outside of the village yesterday.
Fire is a fire, and it just it brings flashbacks, and you're just worried about which way the wind's going.
It's like seriously again, but it is fire season. And it is something that we deal with on a yearly basis.
There are currently 45 firefighters battling the blaze along with 3 helicopters. The wildfire is believed to be human-caused, but investigators are still trying to determine exactly what sparked it. Michelle Bernoro, CTV News, Vancouver.
Across most of the rest of the province, it has been a relatively quiet wildfire season, at least compared to recent years. But with hot, dry weather settling in over southern BC, that could change quickly. Province-wide, there have been just over 600 wildfires so far this season. Up until this point last year, there had already been more than 1,000 and 1,500 in 2023. But drought-like conditions continue to impact much of the southern interior, with temperatures expected to soar into the high 30s in the coming days. Provincial officials are urging people to be fire smart, especially during the upcoming long weekend.
This heat that we're experiencing over the next few days is going to challenge our suppression efforts because of the conditions of the fuel. There still is underlying drought. There is still underlying drought within the fuels in BC, meaning the trees and the grasses. And so we are going to be challenged in an initial attack over the next 72 hours.
There are currently 63 wildfires burning in BC now, and none are considered wildfires of note. That is a designation the BC Wildfire Service applies to fires that are highly visible or pose a significant threat to public safety. The province is plugging $200 million into a northern LNG facility with the aim of making it the lowest carbon energy of its kind anywhere in the world. The move is part of a strategy to leverage American political instability to BC's advantage. Our Penny Daflos has more on how U.S. politics is looming large over BC energy projects.
This is where Cedar LNG is building off the coast of Kitimat in northern BC, making it Canada's first Indigenous majority-owned LNG facility.
We are creating our own revenue stream to invest directly in the infrastructure and services our people need to lead a healthy, fulfilling life.
The Premier was on hand to add $200 million in provincial funding for the Haisla project to run on BC hydroelectricity.
This is far from a one-off. This is the model. This is the future for British Columbia.
And there was another message aside from the promise of good-paying jobs and lower carbon energy exports.
Our country as a whole is facing an economic threat from the President of the United States.
David Eby has been keen to highlight the statements of Donald Trump and the one-sidedness of his goals.
We're making deals that are good for us.
If you are a government in Asia looking for reliable energy sources that you can count on and a partner that you can count on that isn't going to suddenly cut off your access to energy, that isn't suddenly going to massively increase the tariffs on the energy or taxes on the energy that you're purchasing, then nobody would be looking at the United States right now. Canada is a reliable partner.
This industry should be able to stand on its own 2 feet.
The BC Green Party is questioning that government subsidy and just how environmentally responsible the project actually is.
They may be able to call it the lowest emissions in terms of just the liquefaction plant, just the export plant, but doesn't necessarily mean it's the lowest emissions.
Government is sticking to its talking points.
It's the lowest emission LNG in the world, and that is an achievement. So we're not displacing, it's not just a question of displacing coal or other dirtier fuels. It's displacing other LNG, which has dramatically higher emissions.
Cedar LNG's floating facility is currently expected to be in service by late 2028. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
BC's Attorney General has sent a letter to her counterpart in Ottawa advocating for changes to the criminal code after the murder of a Kelowna mother, allegedly at the hands of her estranged husband. In a sit-down interview with CTV News, the AG acknowledged something advocates have been saying for weeks. The system failed Bailey McCourt. Shannon Patterson has the story.
It's been 3.5 weeks since Bailey McCourt was murdered in a Kelowna parking lot, allegedly beaten to death with a hammer by her estranged husband, James Plover.
It's horrific. It's an example of a failure of a system to keep somebody safe that actually reached out for help, went through the court process, was searching for safety, and didn't get it.
Just hours before he allegedly attacked McCourt, Plover had been found guilty of assault by choking and uttering threats in a domestic violence case, but he was allowed to walk free to await sentencing. Do you think the offender should have been held in custody after conviction?
Clearly there's a failure.
On Monday, BC's Attorney General sent this letter to her counterpart in Ottawa, advocating for a specific change to the criminal code for perpetrators found guilty of choking or strangulation, which is a known red flag in domestic violence cases.
So what it would say is that the reverse onus applies. So the idea that you are held unless you can show there's a good reason to release you shifts the questions that the court asks, right? It's not up to Crown to prove that this person should be held and not released. Instead, it's they're held unless there's a good reason to release them.
That legislative change is one step. We need a broader-based intervention that goes well beyond the law.
Angela McDougall with Battered Women's Support Services also wants more funding for support workers and mandatory risk assessment for perpetrators of domestic violence.
We know that mandated risk assessments at every point of the criminal system and the family law system is something that would make a difference. At this point, we can't guarantee that the system is assessing risk effectively, and if they're doing it, it's at their discretion.
Sharma says the Premier raised the idea of mandatory risk assessments with the Prime Minister, who seemed receptive.
The Premier has delivered the letter to the Prime Minister asking for these changes. I sent the letter on Monday. I'm meeting with Minister Fraser on Thursday. I want to get it into the next changes in the session of the Criminal Code, which would be next fall.
Ultimately, it took James Plover being charged with the second-degree murder of Bailey McCourt for a judge to order him held in custody.
You know, my heart goes out to the family and the thought that she was seeking safety from the system and it wasn't there for her is something that I think haunts all of us that are thinking about how we can do better.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News.
Approving drugs for rare diseases came into the spotlight when the province wrestled with medication for a young Vancouver Island girl. Charlie's funding was eventually reinstated. And now the Premier is talking about overhauling the drug panel that initially cut off funding. CTV's Martin McMahon has more.
The story of Charlie Pollock, a 10-year-old Langford girl with a rare brain condition now leading the Premier to vow an overhaul of the government drug approval process. Charlie's case sparked public outrage after provincial funding for her medication was stopped. The NDP then reversed its decision earlier this month. David Eby says there must be changes to the Expensive Drugs for Rare Diseases Committee.
We need to make sure that it works in a way that it's the experts that are making those decisions, and that is taking place in a way that's transparent and understandable to the public. It did not work that way. In the Charlie case, we had two groups of experts fighting it out, one very publicly, one secret committee within the Ministry of Health, speaking only through politicians. That doesn't work.
A doctor who resigned from the panel over the NDP government's intervention spoke with CFAX 1070.
I have spent my whole career working in this area, and I would be willing to do anything that might actually make it better. In my opinion, however, that means that the decision-making has to be taken away from the Ministry of Health and put in the hands of the physicians.
But she did agree on the need for more transparency.
It is my personal opinion that the reason that there has been concern about transparency over the EDRD process is because the expenditures are very large. And the number of people who benefit is very small.
Regardless, it seems change is coming.
So we'll have to find a path forward. I am supportive of the Health Minister's decision to not let this child get caught between a battle between two experts. And I hope that the experts who are on the committee and who have left the committee are willing to work with us to identify a structure that's going to work for them.
10 experts have resigned from the drug panel since the government's reversal, with CSIRS claiming the decision amounted to political interference. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
An update on one of the owls that the Douglas Park community flocked to see. Why a young owlet needed medical attention. Also,
without trying to be hyperbolic, this is the biggest signing in Whitecaps history.
One of Europe's top soccer stars could soon be wearing a Vancouver Whitecaps jersey. The impact Thomas Muller would have on and off the field when CTV News continues. Stay with us. Breaking news, a powerful magnitude 8.7 earthquake has struck off Russia's remote Kamchatka Peninsula, triggering a tsunami watch for most of BC's coast. The quake has already generated a tsunami of up to 4 meters in Russia, prompting evacuations and damaging buildings. Tsunamis are also expected to hit some of the coastal areas of Japan. One of Europe's top soccer stars could soon be making his MLS debut. The Vancouver Whitecaps are in talks to sign Thomas Muller. And as CTV's Isabella Zaffarisi reports, insiders say the impact will be felt both on and off the pitch.
A bittersweet send-off for Thomas Muller, the beloved European soccer icon who spent 25 years with FC Bayern Munich. While Muller may have ended his career on German soil, a new opportunity awaits him here in Vancouver. The 35-year-old midfielder is in contract negotiations with the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Without trying to be hyperbolic, this is the biggest signing in Whitecaps history.
Honestly, you have to pinch yourself if you're a Whitecaps fan.
Muller is one of the most decorated German footballers. He scored 250 goals, won 13 league titles, and represented Germany in the World Cup and Euros. Nicknamed the Space Creator, sports writer Michael McCall says his playing style will be well received.
He will complement the Whitecaps players that we have here tremendously. And a number of them have good football IQs, like Ryan Gold as well. So it's quite mouthwatering what the two of them can do in the middle of the park.
The Whitecaps have yet to reveal any details about the signing. It's rumored the contract will begin August 1st and last 18 months. As to why Mueller chose Vancouver when he could have played anywhere.
But you have to wonder as well, does the current political climate in the US play into it?
And he wants to be maybe involved in the build-up for 2026 and the World Cup. And of course, most notably perhaps, he wants to play for a winner. And right now, the Vancouver Whitecaps are poised to be a winner in Major League Soccer.
Analysts say his impact won't just be felt on the pitch.
He will shift jerseys in big numbers here, but he'll also be a huge asset to Vancouver as a soccer city.
A city that's preparing for the FIFA World Cup, and now one of its most famous soccer stars. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
A dedicated group of bird watchers became bird rescuers over the weekend after noticing an owlet in distress. The young barred owl known as Hooper moved into Douglas Park with his sister Julia and their parents Julio and Julieta back in April. Crowds have been visiting the family daily ever since. When a group of fans noticed Hooper looked hurt last week, they worked with a biologist to trap the owlet and take him to a rehab center in Delta. Turns out Hooper had a broken leg and an infection.
Aww,
I'm glad they were able to get him to the Wildlife Rescue Center in Delta. They do great work out there.
They're amazing.
So hopefully Hooper will make a full recovery soon.
And thankful for the keen eyes of the owl fans out there to even notice a little limp in Hooper.
Oh, I'm glad that they were able to help him out. I want to see the owls. I've yet to see them.
I know, me too. We definitely have to make a date for that when Hooper is ready to come back. All right, today a beautiful day to be outside looking at owls, enjoying the beach, whatever you like to do in the sunshine. Here's a look at temperatures across the Lower Mainland right now. 26 at the Harbor. You're looking at 30 degrees in Surrey as well as in Pitt Meadows. 29s in Chilliwack and in Abbotsford. So overnight it'll be clear with seasonal temperatures at 14 degrees. Into tomorrow we'll do it all over again. We'll see 26 degrees near the water, 30 degrees inland, but factor in the humidex and it will feel like 36.
CTV Weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Plan, book, and safeguard your journeys. Explore the possibilities at expediacruises.ca.
So hot for the next couple of days, but then a cool down on the way for the BC Day long weekend. I've got those details coming up.
All right, thanks a lot, Ann. Well, the fight over density ramps up in a Coquitlam neighborhood. A group of residents tries to block new towers going in. Also ahead.
I just didn't think someone could pick up enough speed to get quarter of the way through the store.
A scary close call for a shopper when a car rams into a grocery store, almost hitting her. That's ahead. BC Highway Patrol is warning drivers to think twice about getting behind the wheel without insurance after two people who did so crashed their vehicles in Chilliwack last Tuesday. BC Highway Patrol says the first one happened on Highway 1 near Popcombe. The driver was issued 2 tickets totaling nearly $800 for speeding and driving without insurance. Just 40 minutes later, another driver crashed nearby and was handed the same tickets. Luckily, no one was hurt, but officials note these drivers will feel the pain in their wallets. Turning now to a close call at a grocery store in London, Ontario, where a car smashed through the storefront, barely missing a customer. You can see a woman pushing a shopping cart before the car plows into the produce section, sending glass flying. Moments later, a woman in the driver's seat got out of the vehicle. Staff members then helped her carry her small child out of the car. The crash happened last Friday, and luckily no one was hurt.
I just didn't think someone could pick up enough speed to get quarter of the way through the store. We had a cart that was stuck in between the 2 tables, and it was pancaked. So if there was a person beside that, that definitely would have been something.
Police say no charges have been laid at this time, and the cause is still under investigation. With the deadline for a trade deal just days away, the U.S. ambassador to Canada says he's hopeful a real deal is coming. A government source tells CTV News there is a good level of optimism about Minister Dominic LeBlanc's next D.C. trip. Negotiations have intensified after Trump announced an agreement with the European Union that would impose a 15% tariff on most goods. In an interview, U.S. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick said the EU's deal was all about protecting their auto, semiconductor, and pharmaceutical markets.
President Trump is going to come out in the next 2 weeks with his pharmaceutical policy, and it is going to be higher. Basically, if you are not building your plant in America where we pay for pharmaceuticals, you are going to pay a massive tariff.
Meanwhile, prices are going up from household product giant Procter & Gamble, who's expecting about $1 billion hit from Donald Trump's tariffs. The desperate call for more long-term care homes in BC as the wait list grows dramatically. Also ahead.
All I want from this is them to back off, give me an apology.
A victim of identity fraud is stunned to discover BMO is taking legal action against them. That wasn't their only problem. The story ahead. An Alberta woman says she was left on the hook for a hefty bill after her personal information was fraudulently used to obtain a credit card. Katrina Whitwer only found out when one bank called her about a pending credit card application she never filled out. A credit check then revealed another card by a different bank, this one issued by BMO with more than $17,000 charged to it. She called police and the bank shut it down. That was in March. Then, just last week, Whitwer found out BMO was taking legal action against her to repay debt. That's when her husband, a cybersecurity expert, got involved and found her credit rating was negatively impacted by the ordeal.
All I want from this is them to back off, give me an apology, take off the derogatory credit information, and to make sure they put in steps to make sure this doesn't affect anybody else.
BMO says it will no longer be taking legal action against Whitwer. It's also working with the Credit Bureau to ensure there's no impact on her credit report. A group of Coquitlam residents have taken their fight over density concerns to City Hall. A group called Roy Stibbs residents are protesting against a project that would replace 12 single-family homes with 2 6-story buildings and 1 7-story building. They're upset not only about the project, but also that they can't address council on it through a public hearing.
Talked to the city planners, and they said, well, City Council tells us what to do. And then we talked to councillors and they said, well, the province makes the rules. So we keep going around and around and around in this circle, and we're just shut out of the whole process.
Coquitlam Mayor Richard Stewart says it's out of his control, but understands the residents' frustrations. The developer Anthem said in a statement this project is in line with the official community plan for the area, adding that it met with residents even though it had no obligation to do so. BC's seniors advocate is calling on the province to act now to address the increasing shortage of long-term care beds.
I continue to hear this story wherever I go around in the province, hearing about couples being separated and hearing about the frustration that caregivers and families who are calling our office are telling us about the long wait times for long-term care.
A new report has found the wait list for long-term care has risen by 200% over the past decade. The Ministry of Health's current plan is to add nearly 3,000 new beds by 2030, but the report says BC will need almost 16,000 new beds by 2036 to meet demand. It also noted there was too much reliance on family caregivers, which has spillover effects on the economy and other parts of the healthcare system. The Vancouver Aboriginal Health Society is expanding services at a mobile clinic for women in the downtown east side after getting a $100,000 funding boost from TD Bank.
The lives of these folks, like many of them, are already entrenched in a lot of situations and realities that prevent them from accessing care and following up. So just having someone follow up in that manner and take them and go and get their needs met, that changes their life. It changes their health situation.
The new funding will allow the program to expand its hours of operations and reach more locations. Since launching in 2023, the Women's Mobile Primary Care Clinic has helped more than 200 patients, with 70% returning. The team consists of physicians, social workers, and cultural outreach workers. A Canadian province gets some love in the newest song by pop star Chapel Rowan.
Who wouldn't want to bargain for an e-bike?
A social media ad for a deeply discounted e-bike ended up being a scam. Police are warning of great deals that leave you with nothing. That's ahead. Taking a look at today's markets, the Canadian dollar is sitting around 72 cents U.S. Oil is up to around $69 U.S. a barrel. Gold saw a $14 bump. And on the stock market, the TSX gained 134 points and the Dow Jones lost 204 points on the day. A property on one of the southern Gulf Islands that previously served as a wellness retreat is up for sale. The Haven, a 6-building, 6.77-acre property listed by Colliers International, was built on Gabriola in 1983. It's known for hosting arts and health programs for the past 40 years. It includes a main lodge with dining office and kitchen facilities, as well as recreation facilities and a 3,000-square-foot auditorium. The price tag, $4.99 million.
Not too bad.
And it fits like 120 people. Yeah. So if we got 100 of our closest friends, all right, the price would be about $49,000 each.
Oh, you did the math? That sounds amazing. I know about 5 people.
Yeah,
so
I don't have 100 friends.
You get the rest, and I think we'll be fine, for sure.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, it's a great property, great area. Gabriola is absolutely stunning. So we're seeing stunning weather here as well because of this ridge of high pressure. Hot spot once again. I know they're dealing with a wildfire right now, is Lytton, 37.9 degrees, so the heat definitely not helping things out there. Record set back in 1960 at 40 degrees. So as mentioned, ridge of high pressure pretty much dominating the whole province. A few sprinkles moving its way in with this low pressure system spinning offshore, as you can see there, just for the north coast and for Masset as we head into tomorrow. Speaking of the heat, a lot of it for the interior region, central interior. You'll see temperatures between 29 and 34 today, right through until Thursday for the Fraser Canyon, southern Okanagan, Thompson, as well as the west Kootenay area. You'll see temperatures between 35 and 38 degrees as we head into Thursday as well. So make sure you stay cool, stay hydrated, and check in on your neighbors and pets as well. So this is what we can expect heading into tomorrow. Active weather for the central interior. Your provincial forecast at the bottom of your screen. Early morning showers for Port Hardy, clearing out of the way with a high of 19 degrees. Heating up to 29s for Campbell River and Comox under mostly sunny skies for the South Island. You're looking at temperatures between 18 and 32 from Tofino right down to Victoria. More sunshine on the way for the Sunshine Coast with a hot 28 degrees. Hotter yet up the Sea to Sky Highway, 30 for Squamish, 31 for Whistler, and for us across the Lower Mainland. We're looking at temperatures between 26 degrees near the water, 30 degrees inland. Heading into Thursday, we'll start off sunny. It does cloud over, 24 degrees. Friday, we'll see a slight chance of early morning showers clearing out of the way. And heading into the BC Day long weekend on Saturday, mostly sunny skies. Seasonal temperatures on Sunday under a mix of sun and cloud. Holiday Monday, few scattered showers here and there, not a washout at all with some sunny breaks, 21 degrees. Clearing up on Tuesday, a mix of sun and cloud and a high of 21. CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So not a lot of showers, but we'll take what we can get, and it looks like that's how we'll start off August.
Yeah, and July has been quite a lot drier than your average July, too,
Yeah,
right?
we have only seen 17 millimeters so far.
Not very much at all. Okay, thanks, Ann. Well, most of the major social media platforms now have ads selling products and services. The ads often have extremely low prices, offering great deals. But police are warning some of them are scams you need to watch out for. CTV's Pat Foran has more.
Well, it seemed greatly discounted.
Keith Edwards of Bowmanville says he was on Facebook when he noticed an ad for an electric bike. It had a list price of $900 US, but was heavily discounted to just $92.
Who wouldn't want to bargain for an e-bike that looks solid? I'm a regular cyclist, and I just thought this would be a great help.
Edwards bought the bike in January, and after 6 months of trying to contact the company and getting nowhere, he's resigned to the fact he'll probably never get it and was scammed.
This type of discounted, severely discounted products that are totally bogus.
CTV News has done stories on social media ads involving the sale of mobility scooters, lawn mowers, and garden sheds that are all sold at extremely low prices but never show up. Sometimes luxury clothing will arrive, but it's actually a cheap knockoff. York Regional Police recently posted a warning about a social media scam involving hot air balloon rides. You could pay $45 in advance to ride in a hot air balloon, but when victims showed up at a local park, no one was there.
There were no balloons set up. There's no staff from this Candle Experience company on site to assist them with their purchase.
Police issued the warning to remind people just because something is for sale on a social media website, it doesn't mean it's legit.
You have to be mindful of ads that do pop up.
To avoid sponsored ad scams, confirm you're on a legitimate website. Use caution buying through social media shops. Contact a company in advance of a purchase. Be suspicious of massive discounts and deals that seem too good to be true. CTV News contacted Meta, the parent company of Facebook, about the bike ad Edwards used, but we did not get a response. He plans to be more careful in the future.
I just urge other consumers to be duly warned.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Fans of Chapel Rowan are eagerly awaiting the release of her latest single featuring a Canadian province. I'm moving to Saskatchewan. The land of the living skies gets name-dropped in Rowan's upcoming single, Subway. And a video teaser posted online shows her driving away in a truck featuring a Saskatchewan license plate. Subway is set to drop on Thursday, July 31st, though fans will already be familiar with the track. Rowan first debuted at the Governor's Ball Music Festival last June and has been performing it live on tour and at festivals since. Was it a romantic rendezvous? A meetup in Montreal puts the former PM back in the spotlight. That's still ahead. Plus, beach cleanup. Adam finds out the unexpected reason why a man is waiting for a plumber by picking up litter. Coming up on the Sawatsky sign-off. Right now, here's a preview of CTV Morning Live.
Well, a lot of people will be closely watching the Bank of Canada's Wednesday interest rate announcement. On CTV Morning Live, what the bank is weighing and what economists are predicting. We'll have the latest on the announcement. And as we count down to the 2026 World Cup, we're diving into political and policy issues that could become problems for fans traveling between countries to watch the games. We'll see you in the morning.
News, weather, and traffic. It's everything you need. CTV Morning Live, weekdays 6 to 9.
The Canadian Little League Championships are in full swing, bringing some of the best young players in the country to southern Vancouver Island. Game 1 of 25 saw teams from BC and Quebec compete, bringing dozens of spectators to Larrett's Park in Saanich this morning. Many of those people ferried over from the mainland to watch their 11 and 12-year-old kids play.
We traveled with a lot of people, and so we're taking up a hotel room, and actually the entire hotel is full of little leaguers, and you know, we're out in the restaurants, we're getting fed by the community, and you know, so the tourism dollar is there for sure.
It's estimated roughly 1,200 families from across Canada have traveled to the island for the tournament. The winner of the tournament gets to go to the Little League World Series in Pennsylvania. Yeah, speaking of traveling, that would be a much bigger trip if they had to go.
Sure.
Love the Little League World Series.
Yeah. Now, did you guys hear about the former PM and what he's been up to? Okay, it's a dark horse pairing no one saw coming. Former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is trending online after being caught on camera dining with Katy Perry. TMZ released video showing the pair at the high-end Montreal restaurant Le Violon last night. The Michelin-recommended restaurant was rated as Canada's 11th best eatery this year. No word on what brought them together or what was on the menu, but fans of the pop star have been quick to jump to conclusions, weighing in on the unlikely duo.
I would ship that. I don't know, they're both like, I like Trudeau, but yeah, I think that'd be a power couple move.
I mean, they're both pretty people, so if they're good together, I mean, why not?
It's quite shocking compared to, like, we've been talking about it all morning.
Well, Perry is currently touring across Canada as part of her Lifetimes tour. She plays shows in Ottawa tonight and then Montreal tomorrow before she heads to Quebec City. If they are dating, it kind of reminds me of his father, who also liked dating celebrities. You know, Pierre Trudeau dated Barbara Streisand.
Yeah, that's right. So following in his dad's footsteps once again.
We'll see. We'll see if it goes anywhere, right? Okay, Kevin, what's coming up tonight?
Well, everyone's talking about this, Mi-Jung. We are monitoring this massive 8.7 earthquake that struck about 130 kilometers off the southeast coast of Russia. Now, that is thousands of kilometers away from BC, but officials have issued an advisory, a tsunami advisory for many coastal communities. It was originally a watch. It has been downgraded to an advisory. So, and you can see it's all lit up in the yellow there on the map. So we will be keeping an eye on this all night long. Alerts are also issued in Alaska, Japan, Hawaii. Tsunami waves expected to reach Hawaii in about 3.5 hours. Officials urging people to get to high ground, at least 4 floors up. Again, this is a developing story, so we will bring you the latest at 11:30 and on our website, ctvnewsvancouver.ca.
Yeah, it's good to know that it's been downgraded because it is a long way away, that earthquake. But
yeah,
we'll
still a lot of unknowns, though.
Yeah,
for sure.
We'll see what happens in Hawaii. Okay, thanks, Kevin. Finally, Adam finds out the story behind a Vancouver man making the most of waiting by the water, turning a simple walk into something more meaningful on tonight's Sawatsky Sign-Off.
Yvonne Muse is visiting the blue ocean after enduring gray water backing up at home.
I am waiting for the plumber to finish his job.
Now, he could have done anything during the next couple hours, but Yvonne decided to do this.
I noticed that there's some litter and I started picking it up.
While he makes the effort to deal with too many discarded things and places the occasional forgotten ones somewhere more prominent,
maybe the person will come back and pick it up.
Yvonne also wears the pins he suspects have fallen from people's lapels, including this poppy.
Yeah, I found it on the sidewalk and I decided to wear it every day.
To remember.
All year round.
To never forget. Although he doesn't need to be reminded to pick up litter.
Well, it makes me feel better.
As opposed to when he couldn't have felt worse.
Struggling in addiction was a slow downward spiral.
Yvonne had descended beyond rock bottom.
You know, my self-esteem was just deteriorating with my mind as well, you know.
Before finally finding professional support.
Well, they're like angels. Like, it's really amazing.
Then, one day, Yvonne noticed an empty bag on the ground.
Well, why don't I just start filling it with more litter? And so I did that, and you just get into a flow of it.
And there was something about being of service in such a natural setting that proved profoundly positive.
It changed my outlook on life tremendously.
Yvonne says he was inspired to actively show his respect and appreciation for the world by doing this every chance he gets, which has helped him maintain being sober and drug-free ever since.
Celebrating 1 year of that.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And while he may have to call a plumber to fix his pipes, Yvonne has found that the best way to rehabilitate his life is to give back to this place and its people in whatever way he can.
It makes me feel better about being alive.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Vancouver.
Good for him. Not many people would just go to the beach and start picking up litter, right?
Yeah, healing through helping others, right? It makes him feel good.
Yeah, and he's even picking up the cigarette butts, which is my pet peeve, right?
Yeah, same here. So yeah, hopefully a lot of people join him in that venture. All right, let's take a look at our scenic snapshot for tonight. A spectacular sunset ski at the Lake of Bays near Muskoka, Ontario. Thanks, Diane, for sending this one in. And we want to see your scenic snapshot as well. So email us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca. And I know you love it when we get viewers' pictures from across the country.
Beautiful.
Perfect timing on that shot.
Great shot. Good water skier.
I know.
All right, thanks for joining us. Kevin's back at 11:30.